breaking news about a deadly school shooting in Winder, Georgia.
Police are investigating a deadly triple shooting in the Gentilly area.
Evidence, 18 people were killed when an Army reservist opened fire at a bowling
after
alley.
a shooting in North Las Vegas. And thanks for joining us live at 5. I'm Tricia.
We have an active shooter inside the fairgrounds.
New Year's Eve, 2 shootings, one involving an officer.
Gun violence is a public health crisis that reaches deep into the core of our nation. The destruction far exceeds the loss of countless lives, but leaves families shattered and communities broken. The trauma from survivors and those who came close to them can leave lifelong emotional damage that may never be healed. The consequence of gun violence does not stop with the direct victims. The ripples spread to reach whole neighborhoods, school, workplaces, and social systems. This leaves the community struggling in the rebuilding of trust and security. It is setting the right with a manner not only of public policy but as part of moral commitment to make certain your neighborhood and community are safe and progressing. On average, there are 1 death in every 11 minutes due to guns in America. These are not just numbers, but they represent mothers, fathers, children's, friends, and neighbors, all those who had hopes, dreams, and connections that were to be so tragically cut short. Behind each number, there was a life that mattered, a presence that brought love, joy, and meaning to the lives of those with and around them. These victims come from families, communities, and social circles in which they played a role that no one else can fill in.
Behind every number is a story of pain, loss, and resilience in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Gun violence is more than a statistic. It's a chain reaction effect of trauma that alters lives forever. Imagine surviving a school shooting. For those who endure such horrors, the physical wounds may heal, but the memories and fear linger. Every day becomes a battle to cope with the aftermath. Survivors carry invisible scars, anxiety, hypervigilance, and sleep disturbances, manifesting as a constant reminders of those fateful days. Children are particularly vulnerable. Exposure to gun violence, especially at a young age, places them at an increased risk for anxiety, depression, PTSD, and even suicidal thoughts. These invisible wounds can shape their futures, impacting their ability to trust, learn, and grow. According to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, firearms death are a leading cause of death among American children and teens. A statistician from Everytown Research and Policy.org highlighted just how widespread this crisis is. An estimated 3 million children in the U.S. are exposed to shootings per year, whether it's as witnesses, victims, or survivors. Another researcher from the Everytown Support Fund noted that gun violence costs the American economy billions of dollars every year, including approximately $49 billion annually in victims' lost wages, demonstrating how the effects extend far beyond the individuals directly involved. For parents who lose a child, the grief is unbearable, a profound sense of loss that reshapes their entire existence. One parent of the victim in the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting shared, "I have never thought it would happen to my family. Now every day is a reminder of what I've lost." Their heartbreak is a stark reminder of the devastating effects of gun violence on families. The effects don't stop there. They repeat through entire communities, leaving a legacy of pain that can last for generations. Gun violence is not just a headline or a policy debate. It's a human tragedy with far-reaching consequences. We must recognize these theories and confront the invisible wounds, because understanding the depth of this crisis is the first step towards change.
Gun violence is a complicated issue, and understanding it means looking deeper at the social and economic problems that contribute to it. Research has consistently shown that areas with high rates of poverty, unemployment, and limited opportunities often experience higher levels of gun violence. These conditions create environments where people face more stress, fewer resources, and less support, which can lead to higher risk and violence. Sociologist Robert J. Sampson explains it this way. Neighborhoods marked by concentrated disadvantage often lack the resources and social support systems necessary to foster safety and stability. In other words, when a community doesn't have access to good jobs, quality education, or strong social networks, it becomes harder to prevent violence and support the people living there. Another important idea is something called collective efficacy. This concept refers to how much trust and cooperation exists within a community. In neighborhoods where people trust and help each other, there's often more safety and stronger ability to solve problems. But in areas where trust is low, where people feel isolated, or where neighbors don't work together, violence is more likely to take root. What's clear is that gun violence isn't just about individual actions. It's tied to a broader social issue. By addressing poverty, increasing access to education and jobs, and helping communities build stronger social bonds, we can make real progress in reducing gun violence. The solutions require investment in the people and place to create an environment where everyone feels safe and supported.
The widespread availability of firearms is undeniably a crucial factor in the equation. Guns can be purchased through stores, gun shows, online, markets, and many illegal underground sites that allow almost anyone to get their hands on a firearm. Most guns committed in crimes were actually illegally purchased. The other side is guns who were taken from their home and used because they were not stored properly. Most school shootings occur when kids use their parents' guns because they have access to them. According to Gallup News, in a poll in 2000, stated that 39% of Americans own a firearm, while 60% did not, and only 1% chose not to answer. Now, in October of 2024, 48% of Americans said they own a gun, while 47% said that they did not, and with 5% choosing not to answer. Gun ownership rates have spiked over the past 20 years and have only continued to grow over the next few years. Societies with more guns present are obviously more resulting in more crime. As firearms become more available to a community, it only increases crime rate and gun violence. Originally, gun owners purchased weapons as a means of recreation and hunting. Now they serve as a means of self-defense and a way to enact crimes onto the public. It's these changes of motivation of ownership that we need to change the current laws of gun ownership to match the modern-day setting. Lastly, research from the Washington Center of Equitable Growth shows that income inequality, concentrated poverty, underfunding of public housing, under-resourced public services, and underperforming schools are all conditions that tend to increase the likelihood of gun violence and gun ownership within a given community.
Let's take a closer look at the public opinion on gun control. As highlighted by the McCorney Institute Mood of National Poll, people say the most widely supported measure is universal background checks. Nearly 86% of Americans favor requiring background checks for all firearm sales and transfers. This overwhelming support reflects a strong consensus across various demographics and political affiliations. Along with that, nearly 75% of Americans support the idea of requiring gun owners to take a test, obtain a license, and register their firearms. This suggests that many see value in promoting responsibility and oversight, similar to owning and operating a vehicle. The debate over gun control measures highlights contrasting perspectives between advocates and opponents. Gun control advocates argue that common sense measures are proven to save lives by keeping guns out of the hands of those who shouldn't have them. They emphasize the importance of universal background checks to prevent the individuals with criminal histories or mental issues from acquiring firearms. Licensing and registration requirements are seen as ways to promote accountability by ensuring gun owners meet safety standards and deter illegal gun trafficking through stricter oversight. Additionally, advocates support an assault weapon ban, which they argue would reduce access to high-capacity firearms often used in mass shootings, potentially lowering the frequency and severity of these tragic events. They also point to international examples where stricter gun controls correlates with reduced gun violence, suggesting similar measures could have a positive impact in the U.S.
Picture an empty chair at the dinner table, where a loved one once sat. Every day, countless families across our nation face this unbearable reality. Gun violence is not just a statistic, it's a story of lives lost too soon, of dreams cut short, and of families shattered forever. Gun violence affects all aspects of society, leaving long-lasting scars on families, communities, and the nation as a whole. From mass shootings to suicides to homicides, the human toll is immeasurable. The issue is not just about numbers, it's about lives that could have been saved through responsible action. To address this crisis, we propose several solutions. Enhanced background checks and periodic reviews of firearm ownership are essential in prevention. These measures are about identifying potential risks before tragedy occurs. By implementing more robust checks, we can reduce the likelihood of guns ending up in the wrong hands. Think of the lives that could be saved, a father who just wants to see his kids grow up, or a student whose future holds endless possibilities. Banning or limiting access to assault weapons is another crucial measure. These firearms are often at the center of mass shootings, events that devastate entire communities. Restricting access to assault weapons isn't just a policy decision, it's a moral one. It's about ensuring that no community has to hold a vigil for innocent lives lost. At the same time, we recognize the cultural and economic significance of guns, particularly in rural areas. Addressing the economic impact of gun safety measures ensures that our policies are fair, inclusive, and considerate to different communities. Firearms also play a significant role in suicides and homicides. By focusing on mental health support, awareness campaigns, and early intervention programs, we can save lives. This isn't about reducing statistics, it's about preventing a mother, father, or sibling from receiving the phone call that changes everything. Additionally, we ensure that issues of wealth and inequality are addressed in tandem with these solutions. Disparities of socioeconomic status often exacerbate the root causes of gun violence. Under-resourced communities where access to mental health care, education, and employment opportunities are limited, are disproportionately affected by gun violence. To create meaningful change, policies must include funding to community development, job creation, and accessible mental health services. By addressing these systematic inequalities, we can tackle the economic and social conditions that contribute to gun violence. Mandating the use of gun safes is another vital step in improving gun safety. Secure storage laws would require firearm owners to store their weapons in locked safes when not in use, preventing unauthorized access by children or individuals who may pose a danger to themselves or others. This simple measure could prevent countless accidental shootings and unauthorized use of firearms, particularly in households with young children. Additionally, implementing longer sentencing for firearm-related offenses can act as a deterrent and hold individuals accountable for endangering public safety. Harsher penalties for illegal gun possession, trafficking, and using firearms in violent crimes send a clear message that such actions will not be tolerated. This approach reinforces the importance of responsible gun ownership and the rule of law in reducing gun violence. In conclusion, gun safety is a critical issue that demands our attention and action. Our solutions aim to prevent mass shootings, reduce firearm-related suicides and homicides, and address the broader societal impacts of gun violence. Gun safety is not just about legislation, it's about people. Every measure we take brings us closer to sparing another family from the unbearable loss of a loved one. Together, through practical and compassionate solutions, we can create a safer future for everyone. Every day, we have a choice, to act or to let another chair at that dinner table sit empty. Let us choose to act.